Guys, it's me, Catnip 4K. Today we're going to be talking about movies, but maybe in specific, we're going to be talking about 28 years later. Ooh, shit. I know this is really weird because I'm not going to be talking about the first 28 days later or 28 weeks later, but skipping to the third one, talking about 28 years later. You know why though? It's because I have to break it to you. I have a little sad news, right? I haven't watched 1 and 2. Whoa, chill out. Right, I understand. You might be looking at me like you haven't watched 1 and 2, but you want to talk about 3 and 4? Yes, because I watched 28 years later by itself, but that gives me an advantage because it gives me no bias to any prior movie. So this is actually a positive. So we're going to start off with 28 years later. And just to let you know, spoilers ahead because I'm going to talk about just pieces and just don't want to let you know. There's spoilers, yeah. So when 28 years later happens, it shows Aaron Taylor Johnson living in a house with family, and his wife is sick, right? And they live in this isolated village outside of, I don't even know, I think it's like Ireland, something like that. But there's a river walk that has to go in between there to the other place. And this is a cool concept that I thought was in the movie, is that these guys live off this island because the way they're protected by the water. When the water rises, they can't cross the bridge. So they have to wait for the tide to lower so they could cross. I think this is a great aspect for the zombies because it's like, who thought about that? That's a good idea. That's an amazing idea. But they still have to go out and scavenge for their village. I forgot his name, so we're going to call him Aaron Taylor Johnson. And Alfie Williams as Spike. One thing is he is used to going out there, but they fight with bow and arrows. And barely any knives, but they have bow and arrows. So his son thinks he's old enough to go out and he wants to go out, right? They go out and this is just scary, right? This is honestly, this time when watching it, it's really creepy, right? But when he goes out there, they realize that there are different types of zombies. There's ones that are very fat, but they like crawl around and they make no noise. There's ones that scream. There's other ones that just walk around, and normal zombies, right? And they explore that world and they talk about how you don't want to be out there for long because you still have to make it back and you want to make sure to be careful around these zombies and be stealthy. From watching this part of the movie, I thought it was great because the tone of the movie was super serious. It was very, like, I love this part of the movie because it was just super father and son. The father showing the son how scary the world could be and how cautious you would have to be, and how analytical he viewed that perspective of that world. It was just amazing. It shows just the dad side of the real life world. And there's a contrast that it shows later in the movie that I'll be explaining to you in a second. So they found a person that was hanging inside of a house, but then he now turned into a zombie. We don't know exactly who did this or who hung them up or why, but now he's a zombie, right? And this is just a great thing to show for his kid that it's time for you to finally kill something. At least that's human, semi-human. From here, the kid is scared. He doesn't want to shoot it because he thinks it's a human, or it just feels like it's a human. But as the dad is getting mad at him, he tells him, just shoot it, right? This is what you have to do. And he does do it, right?
What are you waiting for, Spike? Spike, finish it! For Christ's sake, Spike, fucking kill it!
This ongoing pressure is just great. Like I said, father-son perspective of how he has to learn from this world that exists outside of his coddled village that he has raised and was born in. So Jamie is showing the pressure to Spike, the pressures of out here and the reality of needing to kill these things before they kill you. It's like a eat or be eaten world, quite literally, in this aspect. And it really shows it in this movie. It really feels that way because the tension is there. You don't know these characters and they are new to the franchise. So you never know if they're going to die or if they're just placeholders for the next setup of a next character. So they do end up getting outside, but they end up being trapped in a building from hordes of zombies. This gets them stuck at an attic, and when it shows that at nighttime things change. And this part of the movie actually amplifies the horror inside of this universe, because if you didn't know by now, right, the way the zombies work in this universe, it's called a rage virus, and it makes just humans more aggressive. Like, they don't think straight, and it's more so just like very aggressive type of style zombie. So when nightfall hits inside of the house that they get stuck in, you see like one of those hunting cameras, like a fly on the wall type of camera shot that shoots directly to the zombies, but it's all in red and black. And it's in bits and pieces, going just scary, it really is. But then you see a deer head being mounted on a tall tree. but it doesn't explicitly show it. It just shows a large person that does that with one arm and puts that on the tree. Why would these zombies do this? Nobody knows, but for some reason they attack animals as well. And after that, they do find a fire that's far away. They're like, oh, there's a fire there. What's going on? And they talk about the story of this person, this doctor that used to live with them in that village, but he ended up just getting crazy and nobody talks to him and you shouldn't really go there. And they finally decide to run back home. They sprint towards the village in this bridge full of water. And they start screaming, letting them know, let them in, right? But as they're running in, there's an alpha zombie, which was that giant person that mounted a deer on top of a tree, which is just way taller than every average zombie / human. But he is stronger, faster, and scarier than the rest of them. So obviously, they're trying to make it back before that thing gets to them. They do make it through, but that alpha zombie takes multiple javelin spears, large spear-like things onto this zombie to finally stop him and kill him, adding to the atmosphere of terror to this fucking world that they already included. So that was nice and all. And the best thing about this is they finally make it through, and there's a party to celebrate what they were doing. Yet they went out and they conquered zombies, even though it was a lie made by Jamie. But regardless, everyone liked it and they all wanted a party and nobody really cared. Spike didn't feel satisfied because they didn't do anything. They were just scared and they just escaped, barely surviving. So he's confused on why they're even congratulating him, but that happens. And as the party's going on, he can't find his dad, Jamie. He goes around the village and he sees him making out, going crazy style on another woman. Spike gets upset because obviously Jamie's married to his mom. That's his dad, right? And he was cheating. So he goes away crying. And this is where I think the movie takes a big dip, in my opinion, personally, because I thought it feels like two movies were put together, right? That setup was nice, right? Scary, terrifying. And the second part is basically takes place from here, right? Or maybe in a couple minutes. So what happens is he decides go to his parents' house. He shit talks and hates on his dad and decides to find his mom some help. But the only doctor that could help, or that he thinks could help, would be the person that was that doctor that went crazy inside of the outside world where that campfire was. Keep in mind, this kid is like 12, 13, could barely even shoot straight. He decides to take his mom and sneak out to go to this medical person all the way in the outside of the fort to try to fix the illness that his mom has. It's not said right now what happens or why her illness is like this, but Jamie definitely knows that there's no curing it, that at least that they have no cure for it. So, like I mentioned, this is where the movie changes. I like it for different reasons, but I dislike it for other reasons. So now the movie takes place with Spike and his mom. So Spike's mom is named Isla, right? She was bedridden this whole time, but now he decided to drag her out into the real zombie world and take this big risk to save his mom. Obviously, I know in this circumstance, anybody, at least most people who do love their mom, any son would do anything to save his mom. And I completely understand, right? Because regardless of any kind of illness that keeps you bedridden, it will break your heart and make you do anything to save your mother, right? At least from a boy to their mom. And I completely understand. But it was already proven in the beginning that these zombies are 10 times stronger than you. And even with one small infection, that could be any kind of saliva, blood, anything going inside your body somehow through mouth or eyes or anything, it will infect you no matter what. And this child who barely knows the outside world, only knows like 2 blocks, decides to risk it all. I commend the bravery for the little boy, but I don't understand why take such a big risk. Regardless, I do understand saving your mom or whatnot. I still thought it wasn't reasonable, but we're going to continue with the video anyways. So as he goes out there, he finds this church that he decides to camp out on, right? And they both fall asleep after just a night in the rain. They finally found shelter. But what I find weird is that there's some zombies that are about to basically eat them while they're asleep. And this mom who's always confused, suddenly his mom decides to wake up, murder everyone, all the zombies, and goes back to sleep like nothing happens. She had this crazy skill set all of a sudden that was just learned. And I'm like, wait a minute. When was this? I guess you know how to do shit now. I guess you're crazy with the sticks. But where did you learn to do that? Where was it ever? Maybe I missed something. during exposition, but where did you learn how to be good at killing someone or something? Whatever, we continue, right? It shows the world a little more different. It's a little more relaxed, surprising. Nature seems more calming and more beautiful than what it actually is compared to when he was with his dad, right? They more focused on the scenery than the zombies, because the zombies didn't seem like they were actually there, or it seems like they weren't attacking. But with his mom, it showed the contrast from her perspective with her son than with the father with their son, which I love in this movie, despite the criticism I'm going to give, because at this point it's showing the differences between mother and son and father and son, and how it actually is completely different in reality, because both would view the world in different ways no matter what, because they were raised differently. Even though she had cancer, she was still able to appreciate the flowers in the flower field, right? To enjoy a breath of fresh air and small details that weren't with the father. The father was so worried about not dying and the importance of surviving, where it looked like the world was more terrifying. There was no need to do it because it was scary. Look, when he was with the mother, Emil realized that, oh, there's beauty to the world aside from these zombies. And that's what I really loved about this movie. Despite the criticism and the hate that most people gave it, I think that was really greatly shown here when watching the movie. But aside from that, the story does continue, and there is more to it than this. The only criticism I have about it is I wish the father side was shown more, because it was also very entertaining and allowed this movie to be more scary from his perspective. But I guess the budget couldn't allow Aaron Taylor Johnson to take half of the movie, so we took 25% for him, the rest of the movie with her. But yes, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you listening to what I said. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. I really appreciate everybody who watched and listened to me talk about just anything besides the movies. Let me know if you like movie review issues and if you actually enjoy the movie yourself, or what your thoughts were. Goodbye then.